My fiancé insulted my sister for being a prostitute at our engagement party. 2. I keep replaying that moment in my head over and over like some kind of sick loop I can't escape. The way the words hung in the air, the way everything just stopped, the way my sister's face crumpled like someone had physically struck her. I've been engaged to Lily for 8 months now, and I thought I knew her. I thought I understood who she was, what mattered to her, how she treated people. But that night, that night she showed me something I'd never seen before, and now I can't unsee it. Let me back up. My sister Kate is 11 years older than me. When our mom died from an overdose and our dad was already long gone, she was 19 and I was 8. The state wanted to separate us. They had a foster home lined up for me, some family 2 counties over, but Kate fought them. She dropped out of community college halfway through her 2nd semester, got a job waitressing at this grimy diner off Route 9, and convinced a social worker that she could handle raising me. They didn't make it easy. There were home visits, inspections, mandatory parenting classes, the whole invasive process. But Kate showed up to every single appointment, kept our tiny apartment spotless, made sure I had food and clean clothes and help with my homework. For a while, it worked. She was exhausted all the time, working doubles and triples, sleeping maybe 4 hours a night, but we were together. That's what mattered to her. That's what mattered to both of us. Then the diner closed, just shut down one Tuesday morning with a handwritten sign taped to the door. No warning, no severance, nothing. Kate scrambled for weeks trying to find something else, but everywhere wanted experience she didn't have or degrees she'd never finished. The bills started piling up. We were eating rice and canned vegetables for dinner. The landlord started leaving notes on our door about late rent. I was too young to understand how bad it really was, but I remember Kate crying in the bathroom with the shower running so I wouldn't hear her. I remember her checking the mail with this look of absolute dread on her face. I remember her asking me once, real quiet, if I'd be okay if she had to work nights for a while. She never told me exactly what she did. Not then. I was a kid. I didn't need to know. But over the years, as I got older, I pieced it together from things she'd let slip when she thought I wasn't paying attention. From the way she'd flinch when certain songs came on the radio. From the haunted look that would cross her face sometimes when we drove past certain parts of town. Kate worked as an escort for almost 3 years. She did what she had to do to keep us afloat, to keep me out of the system, to make sure I had a chance at a normal life, and it destroyed something in her. She doesn't talk about it, ever. She got out when I was 11, met her husband Danny when I was 13, and slowly, painfully, rebuilt herself into someone who could smile again. She opened a small hair salon 6 years ago, works hard, loves her clients, adores her little boy. She's made a good life, a life she's proud of. But there are scars. There are things that still hurt her. And everyone who loves her knows you don't bring it up. You don't make jokes. You don't throw it in her face like it's something to be ashamed of. Everyone except Lily, apparently. Lily and I met 2 years ago at a friend's birthday party. She was charming, funny, confident in this effortless way that drew people to her. She worked in marketing for her father's company, came from a comfortable family, had never really struggled for anything in her life. I didn't hold that against her. Why would I? Not everyone has the kind of history Kate and I have, and that's fine. That's normal even. But looking back now, I think maybe I should have paid more attention to the little things. The way she'd make comments about people who didn't apply themselves or who made bad choices. The way she'd wrinkle her nose when we drove through certain neighborhoods. The way she'd laugh a little too hard at jokes that punched down. I told myself she was just privileged, sheltered, that she didn't Wiederholen, a you don't use the exact short as the beginning of the long-form story. My fiancé insulted my sister for being a prostitute at our engagement party. I was standing there, smiling, trying to soak in the night. Our engagement party. Families everywhere. Laughter, music. Everything was perfect until it wasn't. My sister Kate was talking to us about this Hawaii trip she and her husband wanted to take someday. She said they were saving money for the salon, maybe go in a couple years instead. I told her waiting made sense. Her little boy would be older, he'd remember the trip, he'd enjoy it more. And then my fiancé, Lily, laughed under her breath. This ugly, sharp little laugh. She leaned in and said, "If you want extra money, you can always go back to being a whore. It's the only thing you didn't drop out of." Everything froze. My mind just broke for a second. Kate's face went blank. Then she started crying, quiet, shaking, trying not to make a sound. Her husband grabbed her and walked her away before she could completely fall apart in front of everyone. I felt the blood rush into my ears. I swear every sound in that room disappeared. I just stared at Lily. She shrugged, like she'd just made a joke. I said through my teeth, "Get out of here." She blinked like she didn't hear me. "What? Why are you?" "Leave," I said. "Right now. I don't care where you go. Just get out of my sight." People were staring. The music had stopped. My fiancé started whisper yelling, "You're making a scene. Stop embarrassing me." I stepped closer. "You humiliated my sister. You don't get to stand here and smile like nothing happened. Leave." leave. She kept arguing, but all I saw was Kate crying because someone dragged up the darkest part of her life, something she did to keep me from living in foster care, something she never talks about because she hates remembering it, and Lily threw it in her face like a punch. Finally, Lily stormed out, heels slamming against the floor, face red and furious, everyone watching, everyone whispering, her parents glaring at me like I'd slapped their daughter. Good. Her mom came up to me later, voice low and angry, saying, "You can't treat your future wife like that. Marriage means talking through disagreements, not sending her away like a dog." I just stared at her. A disagreement? A disagreement? My sister sold her body so I wouldn't end up in a group home. She sacrificed years of her life so I could be safe. And Lily, who never worked a day as hard as Kate, had thought she could sneer at her, called her a dropout, a whore. At my engagement party, my future mother-in-law kept going. "You owe Lily an apology." I walked away without a word. The whole night twisted after that. Some people left early, some stayed, but avoided looking at me. I couldn't even enjoy the food or the music. Every time I looked around, I saw Kate's empty seat. Later, I found her and her husband sitting outside in their car. Her face was blotchy, eyes swollen, makeup smeared. She tried to smile when she saw me. She always tries to smile. She said, "It's okay, I'm fine," really, but she wasn't fine. I could see it. My big sister, who raised me like a mother when she was basically a kid herself, was sitting there shaking because someone decided her survival story was an insult. I told her I was sorry. She kept saying it wasn't my fault. Her husband was gripping her hand so hard his knuckles were white. They left quietly. No drama, no yelling, just hurt. Inside, Lily's father was shaking his head at me. Lily's sister was whispering to her husband. Someone said I ruined the whole night. Someone else said I overreacted. Someone else said Lily didn't mean it like that. I didn't care. I still don't. When Lily finally came back, I didn't even look at her. She tried to touch my arm and I pulled away. She whispered, "Are you seriously still mad? It was just a comment. Just a comment." I looked her in the eyes and said, "You showed me who you are tonight." She tried to defend herself, tried to blame Kate for being dramatic, said she was just joking, said people need to learn to take things less seriously. I walked past her. I didn't answer. I didn't raise my voice. I just left her standing there in front of her parents, people watching her, waiting for me to say something that would make it all better. I didn't. I walked straight out the front door of our engagement party, into the night air, heart pounding, hands shaking, and the last thing I heard behind me was Lily's voice, calling my name, sounding shocked that I didn't turn around. I didn't even look back. But let me start from the beginning, because there's context. You need to understand why that moment shattered everything, why those words weren't just cruel, they were unforgivable. Kate is 11 years older than me. When I was 8 years old, our mother died from an overdose in a motel room 3 towns over. Our father had been gone since I was a toddler, just vanished one day and never came back. So when Mom died, it was just Kate and me. The state immediately started making plans to put me in foster care. They had a family lined up, some couple 2 counties away who already had 3 other kids. They were going to split us up. That was just the reality of the situation. Kate was 19, barely an adult herself, with no job that paid enough, no degree, no stability the state deemed acceptable. But Kate fought them. God, she fought them so hard. She dropped out of community college in the middle of her 2nd semester, got a job waitressing at this rundown diner off Route 9 that smelled like burnt coffee and cigarette smoke, and somehow convinced a social worker that she could raise me. They made her jump through every hoop imaginable: monthly home inspections, parenting classes, financial reviews, mandatory counseling sessions. They were looking for any excuse to take me away from her. Kate never gave them one. She kept our tiny 1-bedroom apartment spotless. She gave me the bedroom and slept on a futon in the living room. She made sure I had breakfast every morning, helped me with my homework every night, walked me to school, and picked me up every single day. She worked doubles, sometimes triples, surviving on 3 or 4 hours of sleep and gas station coffee and sheer determination. I remember her falling asleep at the kitchen table with her face pressed against her textbooks, trying to study for a certification program she thought might help her get better work. I remember her checking my homework with her eyes so heavy she could barely keep them open. For about a year, we made it work. It was hard, and we were always broke, but we were together. That's all that mattered to Kate. Then the diner closed, just shut down one morning without warning. Owner filed for bankruptcy, left a handwritten sign on the door that said, "Closed permanently. Sorry." No final paychecks, no severance, nothing. Kate came home that day and just sat on the futon staring at the wall for 2 hours. I asked her what was wrong, and she gave me this smile that didn't reach her eyes and said everything was fine. We'd figure it out. She spent the next month applying everywhere. Fast food places, retail stores, other diners, coffee shops, anywhere that would take an application, but everywhere wanted experience she didn't have in their specific system, or availability she couldn't promise because of me, or education requirements she couldn't meet because she'd dropped out to raise me. The rejection letters piled up. The bills piled up faster. I remember the electricity getting shut off for 3 days. I remember eating plain rice for dinner 4 nights in a row, because that's all we had. I remember the landlord leaving increasingly angry notes on our door about late rent, then a formal eviction warning. I remember Kate checking the mail with this look of absolute terror on her face, like every envelope might be the one that destroyed us. I was too young to fully understand how desperate things had gotten, but I knew something was very wrong. Kate stopped smiling. She stopped sleeping. She'd pace the apartment at night, and I'd hear her crying in the bathroom with the shower running so I wouldn't hear her. Then one night, she sat me down and asked me, very carefully, if I would be okay if she had to start working nights for a while. Different work, she said. Work that paid better but had strange hours. She promised she'd find someone to stay with me. Promised I'd be safe. Promised it was temporary. I said okay because I was 8, and I trusted her, and I didn't know what else to say. Kate never told me exactly what she did during those years. Not directly. She protected me from it, the same way she protected me from everything else. But I'm not stupid, and as I got older, I pieced it together. From things she'd let slip when she didn't think I was listening. From the way she'd flinch when we drove past certain hotels. From the look that would cross her face sometimes, this haunted, faraway expression, like she was seeing something I couldn't see. From the fact that she suddenly had money for rent and food and clothes for me, but she'd come home at 4 in the morning looking exhausted and wouldn't meet my eyes. She worked as an escort for almost 3 years. That's what kept the lights on. That's what kept food on the table. That's what kept me out of foster care and kept us together. She sold her body, her dignity, pieces of herself she can never get back, so I could have a childhood, so I could stay in the same school, so I could have birthday parties and Christmas presents and a stable home, and it broke something in her, something fundamental. I was too young to see it happening, but looking back now as an adult, I can see the cracks forming, the way she'd scrub her hands raw in the sink, the way she started drinking more, the way she'd stare at herself in the mirror with this expression of pure disgust, the way she stopped talking about her dreams or her future or anything beyond just surviving another week. She got out when I was 11. I don't know exactly how or why, just that one day she came home and said she'd gotten a job at a salon, just answering phones and sweeping hair, but it was daytime work and it was legitimate and we were going to be okay. She started therapy, she stopped drinking. She met Danny at a coffee shop when I was 13, and he was patient and kind and never pushed her to talk about things she wasn't ready to talk about. Slowly, painfully, over years, Kate rebuilt herself. She got her cosmetology license. She worked her way up from receptionist to stylist. She saved every penny she could. 6 years ago, she opened her own small salon with a business partner. Nothing fancy, just a little place in a strip mall, but it's hers and she's proud of it. She married Danny. They had a son, my nephew, who just turned 4. She smiles now, real smiles, the kind that light up her whole face, but there are still scars. There are still things that hurt her. There are still nights Danny tells me she wakes up from nightmares she won't describe. There are still topics we don't discuss, places we don't go, references we don't make. Everyone who loves Kate knows this. Everyone who knows our story understands that you don't joke about what she did to survive. You don't throw it in her face. You don't use it as ammunition. You just don't. I thought Lily understood that. I'd told her Kate's story about 6 months into our relationship, sitting in my car after dinner one night, trying to explain why my sister was so important to me, why I was so protective of her. Lily had listened, nodded, said all the right things. She'd said Kate was brave. She'd said Kate was a good sister. She'd said she understood. Apparently, she didn't. The engagement party was Lily's idea. Well, her mother's idea, really, but Lily ran with it enthusiastically. They rented out this event space downtown, this gorgeous room with exposed brick and string lights and floor-to-ceiling windows. They hired caterers, a DJ, brought in flowers, made it this whole elaborate production. It was more than I would have done, honestly. But Lily was excited, and her parents were paying for most of it, so I went along with it. The night started perfectly. Both our families were there, our friends, co-workers, probably 70 people total. Everyone was dressed up, drinking champagne, eating fancy appetizers, dancing, laughing. Lily looked beautiful in this deep blue dress, and she kept squeezing my hand and whispering about how perfect everything was. I was happy, genuinely happy. I kept thinking about how this was the start of our life together, how we were building something real. Kate and Danny arrived around 7. Kate had brought a gift, this beautiful picture frame she'd found at an antique store, and she'd hugged me tight and told me she was so happy for me. Her son was with Danny's parents for the night, so it was just the two of them, and they looked good together, relaxed. Kate wearing this soft pink dress she'd been excited about. We were standing near the bar, the three of us just talking casually. Lily had joined us a few minutes earlier, fresh from making rounds and greeting guests. The conversation had drifted to vacation plans, and Kate mentioned that she and Danny had been dreaming about taking a trip to Hawaii someday. We've been saving for it, Kate said, smiling at Danny. But we're also putting money aside aside for the salon, trying to expand a little, maybe hire another stylist. So we're thinking maybe in a couple years. Give us time to save properly, and our son will be older then. He'll actually remember it, you know? Enjoy the beach, the activities. I nodded. Yeah, that makes sense. Waiting until he's a bit older is probably smarter anyway. Danny agreed, started talking about how they'd been researching different islands, trying to figure out which one would be best for families. And then Lily laughed. It wasn't a normal laugh. It was this short, sharp sound, almost like a cough, but with this edge to it that made me glance at her. She had this weird expression on her face, this smirk that didn't quite fit the conversation. Then she leaned toward Kate, close enough that I could smell her perfume, and said in this light, almost casual tone, "If you want extra money, you can always go back to being a whore. It's the only thing you didn't drop out of." The words hit like a physical blow. Everything just stopped. The music was still playing. People were still talking around us, but in our little circle, everything went absolutely silent. My brain couldn't process what I'd just heard. It was like the words didn't make sense, like they were in a foreign language I needed a moment to translate. Kate's face went completely blank, just empty. All the warmth and happiness that had been there a second ago just drained away, replaced by nothing. Her mouth opened slightly like she was going to say something, but no sound came out. Then her eyes filled with tears, not the kind of tears that fall slowly, the kind that come all at once, sudden and overwhelming, like something inside her just shattered. Her whole body started shaking. She made this horrible sound, this choked gasp like she couldn't breathe, and she brought her hand up to cover her mouth, trying desperately not to make any noise, not to cause a scene, not to break down in front of 70 people at my engagement party. Danny's face went white, then red. He grabbed Kate's arm, gentle but firm, and started pulling her away from us, away from Lily, toward the exit. Kate was crying openly now, quietly, her shoulders shaking, her hand still over her mouth, mascara already starting to run down her face. People were starting to notice, starting to turn and look, starting to whisper. I felt like I was underwater. Everything was muffled and distant. My ears were ringing. My hands had gone numb. I just stood there staring at Lily, waiting for her to look horrified, waiting for her to realize what she'd just done, waiting for her to apologize, to run after Kate, to do something, anything. She shrugged. She actually shrugged. This little lift of her shoulders, this tiny dismissive gesture, and her face had this expression like she'd just made a slightly off-color joke at brunch, like this was nothing, like she didn't understand why everyone looked so serious. Something snapped in me. "Get out of here," I said. My voice didn't sound like my voice. It was low, flat, controlled in a way that took every ounce of strength I had. Lily blinked at me. "What? Get out," I said again, and this time I felt my teeth clench, my jaw tighten. "Right now. I don't care where you go. Just get out of my sight." She looked around, suddenly aware that people were staring at us, that the conversations nearby had stopped, that the DJ was still playing, but nobody near us was dancing anymore. Her face flushed. "You're making a scene," she hissed, quiet and sharp. "Stop embarrassing me." I stepped closer to her, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to look at me. "You humiliated my sister," I said, and my voice was shaking now, rage replacing the shock. "You don't get to stand here and smile like nothing happened. Leave, now." "I was just joking," she said, her voice rising, defensive. "God, you're so sensitive. I didn't mean leave." She opened her mouth to argue more, but something in my face must have stopped her. Maybe it was the way I was looking at her, like I didn't recognize her, like she was a stranger. Maybe it was the silence that had fallen around us, all these people watching, waiting to see what would happen next. Her face twisted. Anger replaced the defensiveness. She grabbed her purse from the bar and turned without another word, her heels slamming against the floor as she stalked toward the exit. Her face was red, furious, humiliated. People stepped aside to let her pass. Everyone was watching. Everyone was whispering. Her parents were standing near the door. Her mother's face went from confused to horrified as Lily stormed past them and out into the night. Her father turned to look at me across the room, his face hard and disapproving. I didn't care. I couldn't care. All I could think about was Kate's face, the way she'd looked at Lily with this expression of absolute betrayal, the way she'd crumbled, the way she'd tried so hard not to cry, not to make a scene, even as someone ripped open the worst chapter of her life and mocked her for it. The music was still playing, but nobody was dancing anymore. Small groups had formed, people whispering to each other, glancing at me, at the door Lily had just left through. Some people looked sympathetic, some looked uncomfortable, some looked angry. Lily's mother approached me maybe 10 minutes later. Her face was tight, her voice low and controlled and furious. "You can't treat your future wife like that," she said, her words clipped. "Marriage means talking through disagreements, not sending her away like a dog in front of everyone." I stared at her. A disagreement. She thought this was a disagreement. Like Lily and I had argued about what restaurant to choose or what color to paint a room. Like this was some minor difference of opinion that we needed to compromise on. "My sister sold her body so I wouldn't end up in foster care," I said quietly. Each word felt like pulling teeth, She sacrificed years of her life so I could be safe, and your daughter thought it was appropriate to mock her for that. At my engagement party, in front of everyone, Lily's mother's lips pressed into a thin line. Lily says she was joking. She says your sister is being overly dramatic. Then Lily is wrong. You owe her an apology, she said, her voice hardening. You embarrassed her. You kicked her out of her own engagement party. You need to go find her right now and apologize. I walked away without another word. I didn't trust myself to keep talking to her. I didn't trust myself to stay civil. The party limped along for another hour, but the energy was gone. Some people left early making awkward excuses. Some stayed, but avoided looking at me, clustered in groups near the walls, talking in hushed voices. The food sat mostly untouched. The dance floor was empty. Every time I looked around, I saw the empty space where Kate had been standing, and I felt sick. I found them in the parking lot around 9:30. They were sitting in their car, engine off, just sitting there in the dark. I knocked on the window and Danny unlocked the doors. Kate's face destroyed me. Her makeup was completely ruined. Black streaks down her cheeks, her eyes swollen and red, her lipstick smeared. She tried to smile when she saw me climbing into the back seat. She always tries to smile, even when she's breaking. It's okay, she said, her voice hoarse and shaky. I'm fine. Really, you should go back inside. It's your party, Kate. I'm fine, she insisted, but her hands were trembling in her lap. I needed some air. I'm fine. She wasn't fine. I could see it in every line of her body, in the way she was holding herself so carefully like she might fall apart if she moved wrong. Danny was gripping her hand so hard his knuckles were white, his jaw clenched, his eyes hard. I'm so sorry, I said. Kate, I'm so sorry. I had no idea she would. I never thought. It's not your fault, Kate whispered. You didn't know. You couldn't have known. But I felt like I should have. I felt like I should have seen this coming somehow. Should have protected her better. Should have never let Lily near her if there was even a chance something like this could happen. We sat there for maybe 20 minutes. Kate cried quietly. Danny held her. I sat in the back feeling completely helpless, useless, furious. Eventually they said they were going to head home, that they loved me, that we'd talk tomorrow. I watched them drive away, their taillights disappearing into the dark, and I wanted to chase after them and apologize 1,000 more times. When I went back inside, the atmosphere had somehow gotten worse. Lily's father was standing near the bar with his arms crossed, shaking his head at me whenever we made eye contact. Lily's sister was whispering urgently to her husband, both of them shooting glances in my direction. I heard someone say I'd ruined the whole night. Someone else said I'd overreacted. Someone else said Lily didn't mean it like that she just had a dark sense of humor, that I was being too sensitive. I wanted to scream at all of them. I wanted to explain exactly what Kate had been through, exactly what she'd sacrificed, exactly why Lily's words weren't a joke, but I was so tired, bone deep, exhausted, hollowed out. Lily came back around 10:30. She must have been sitting in her car or walking around the block, waiting to see if I'd come after her. When I didn't, she came back inside, her face carefully neutral, her shoulders back like she was bracing for a fight. She walked straight to me, tried to touch my arm. I pulled away instinctively, like her touch burned. Are you seriously still mad? She whispered, trying to keep her voice down, trying to smile. It was just a comment. I didn't mean anything by it. Just a comment. Those 3 words made my blood boil all over again. Just a comment. Like she'd remarked on the weather, like she'd made a passing observation about traffic. I looked her directly in the eyes and said, as clearly as I could, you showed me who you are tonight. Her face changed. The fake smile dropped. What's that supposed to mean? I didn't answer. I didn't explain. She knew what it meant. She tried to defend herself, her voice getting higher, more desperate. Your sister is being dramatic. I was just joking. People need to learn to take things less seriously. You're acting like I committed a crime. Everyone is so sensitive these days. Nobody can take a joke anymore. I walked past her. Didn't engage, didn't argue, didn't try to explain something she clearly didn't want to understand. I just walked past her like she wasn't there, leaving her standing in the middle of the room with her parents watching, with her friends watching, with everyone waiting for me to say something that would fix this, that would make everything okay again. I walked straight to the exit, pushed through the doors, stepped out into the cool night air. My heart was pounding. My hands were shaking. I could hear Lily behind me, calling my name, her voice shocked and hurt and angry all at once. I didn't turn around. I didn't even pause. I just kept walking to my car, got in, and drove away from my own engagement party. The next few days were a blur of text messages and voicemails I didn't answer. Lily called 17 times the first night. Her mother called. Her sister called. They left messages ranging from angry to pleading to confused. Lily's texts cycled through apologetic, I'm sorry, can we please talk? Defensive, you're overreacting and you know it. And eventually hostile, you're choosing your sister over me. I didn't respond to any of them. I spent the next morning at Kate's house. She'd called in sick to work, which she never did. And when I showed up with coffee and bagels, she answered the door looking exhausted. We sat on her couch and she told me she hadn't slept. She kept replaying what Lily had said, kept feeling the humiliation frustration wash over her again and again. I thought I was past it, she whispered. I thought I'd moved on. But hearing someone say that, hearing her just throw it at me like it was funny, like it was something to laugh about, her voice broke. I felt 19 again. I felt dirty again, like everything I've built doesn't matter. Danny had taken their son to the park to give us space to talk. Kate and I sat there for hours, and I apologized over and over until she finally made me stop, told me this wasn't on me, told me she loved me and we'd figure it out. But something had broken. Not between Kate and me, but between Lily and me. Something I didn't think could be repaired. Lily showed up at my apartment on the third day. I'd been avoiding her calls, avoiding her messages, staying at a friend's place mostly, but I'd come back to grab some clothes, and there she was, sitting in her car in my parking lot, waiting. She got out when she saw me, walked over quickly, her face hopeful. Finally, we need to talk. There's nothing to talk about, I said. Yes, there is. You've been ignoring me for 3 days. 3 days. Over something I already apologized for. You didn't apologize, I said flatly. You made excuses. I said I was sorry if your sister got her feelings hurt. That's not an apology. She threw her hands up. What do you want from me? You want me to grovel? You want me to say I'm a terrible person? Fine. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Now can we please move past this? I looked at her and I felt nothing. No love, no anger, no frustration, just nothing. And that scared me more than anything. I don't think I can marry you, I said quietly. Her face went pale. What? I don't think I can marry someone who would say that to my sister, who would hurt her like that, and then act like she's the problem for being hurt. You're not serious. Her voice was shaking now. You're not seriously breaking up with me over this. You called her a whore, I said, and my voice was rising now despite my best efforts. You mocked her for something she did to save me, something that nearly destroyed her, and you didn't even flinch. You shrugged, Lily. You shrugged like it was nothing. I made a mistake. People make mistakes, and some mistakes show you who someone really is. She stared at me, tears starting to form in her eyes, her breathing quick and shallow. I love you. You love me. We're supposed to get married. You can't just throw that away because of one comment. It wasn't just a comment. It was a choice. You chose to hurt my sister. You chose those words. You chose to say them in public, at our engagement party, in front of everyone. That wasn't an accident. That was you. We argued in the parking lot for another 20 minutes. She cried. She yelled. She begged. She threatened. She tried every angle she could think of to make me change my mind. I didn't change my mind. I went inside, packed a few things of hers that were in my apartment, and brought them out to her car. She stood there crying, asking me if I was really doing this, if I was really choosing my sister over her. Every single time, I said, without hesitation. She drove away, and I went back inside and sat on my couch in the quiet of my apartment and felt the weight of what I'd just done settle over me. Her family didn't take it well. Her father called me 2 days later, angry, accusing me of leading his daughter on, of wasting everyone's time and money on an engagement party for a marriage I apparently never intended to go through with. Her mother sent me a long email about how disappointed she was, how I'd shown my true colors, how Lily deserved better than someone who would abandon her over one tiny mistake. I deleted the email without responding. Some of our mutual friends took her side. They said I was being too harsh, too unforgiving, that everyone says stupid things sometimes, and it didn't mean I should throw away a whole relationship. A few people stopped talking to me altogether, decided that I was the villain in this story. I didn't try to defend myself. I didn't try to explain. The people who mattered knew what had happened and understood. Kate told me I didn't have to break up with Lily for her. She said she didn't want to be the reason my relationship ended, that she could handle it, that she'd forgive and forget if I wanted to work things out. But I didn't want to work things out, because every time I looked at Lily now, I saw my sister's face crumpling. I heard those words, "You can always go back to being a whore." I saw the shrug, and I knew I could never trust her again, never feel safe bringing her around Kate, never believe she actually understood or cared about the things that mattered to me. About a month after I ended things, I ran into one of Lily's college friends at a coffee shop. She looked uncomfortable when she saw me, like she wasn't sure if she should say hello or pretend she hadn't noticed me. But then she sat down at my table and said, quiet and hesitant, "I probably shouldn't tell you this, but you should know. Lily had been complaining about your sister for months. She thought Kate was trashy. She thought you were too close to her. That it was weird how much you talked about her, how much you helped her with the salon, how often you brought her up. She was jealous. And that night at the party, she'd had 3 glasses of wine, and she just snapped. She wanted to hurt Kate. She wanted to take her down a peg." I sat there holding my coffee, letting that information sink in. It didn't change anything, not really, but it confirmed what I'd already suspected. That moment wasn't a slip of the tongue. It wasn't a joke gone wrong. It was intentional cruelty. "Thanks for telling me," I said. She nodded, squeezed my shoulder, and left. I called Kate that night and told her what I'd learned. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Then she said very quietly, "I'm glad you're not marrying her." "Me too. It's been almost a year now. I'm single. I'm okay with that. I've done a lot of thinking thinking about what I want in a partner, about what matters to me, about the kind of person I want to build a life with. I want someone who understands that the people you love come with histories, with scars, with things they've survived. I want someone who treats those stories with respect, with compassion, with the gravity they deserve. I want someone who would never, ever weaponize someone's pain. Kate is doing better. She and Danny renewed their vows last month, just a small ceremony at their house, and it was beautiful. Her son is starting kindergarten in the fall. The salon is doing well. She smiles more now, real smiles. Sometimes she still has bad days where she's quieter than usual, where I can tell she's thinking about things she'd rather forget. But she's built a good life, a life she deserves, and I'm grateful every day that she fought so hard to keep us together when we were kids. I don't regret walking out of that engagement party. I don't regret ending things with Lily. I don't regret choosing my sister. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. If you made it this far, thanks for reading. I needed to get this out, and it helps to know someone listened.